All right, what's up, everybody? We're here with my friend Dan Lane. Dan is somebody that I've known since sixth grade, maybe
Probably something like that. Yeah.
talking almost 30 years. He grew up in Hillsborough, as did I, and we kind of reconnected when Dan came back to Newell Strength last spring. When was that? Was it last?
I think it was like last, almost a year ago, probably last October. Signed up for the Rip Dads 2019.
Right, yeah. So coming up on a year. So Dan, first, thanks for joining me, buddy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, I've been wanting to do this. So kind of give us everybody a background for people that don't know you, just where you're living right now. I know you have a newborn. Let's talk
Mhm.
about that, how many kids you have, and then we'll kind of dive into you and your mindset and philosophy about life.
Sure. I grew up in Hillsborough, as you said. I live now in Basking Ridge with my wife, Nicole. We've got three boys, Nate, who's 10, Gavin, who's 7, and Maddox, who is a newborn.
Newborn. How old and how old is Maddox?
He's 4 months now. So
Really?
interesting experience having a baby in April of 2020 in the middle of this whole thing.
What was that like? Were you allowed to be? You were allowed to be in there with your wife?
I was allowed to be in there, and I could have stayed the whole time, but it was a bit of a what do you do because there was no one really to watch the other kids. So I went in. She had a scheduled C-section, so I was there for that, and then we hung out for a bit, and then I had to go home. But they kind of rushed her out of the hospital. I mean, both of the other boys were C-sections as well, and they probably about a day less in the hospital this time. They kind of pushed her out, which I think was good.
Good, man. It all worked out, right?
Yeah.
So growing up, we were just talking about Mr. Johnson, right?
Yeah.
Talk about sports real quick. What did you play growing up? What did you play throughout high school? Did you do anything beyond high school?
That's a good question. I played a few things growing up. I played soccer and I played tennis. In middle school, I tried wrestling for a bit. In high school, I kind of just concentrated on tennis. I went to Rutgers Prep for 2 years, and then I transferred to Hillsborough. And so I was a varsity tennis player for 2 years at Rutgers Prep and 2 years at Hillsborough.
Yeah,
Now
four
Mr.
years
Johnson was the coach. So yeah.
nice. 4 years of varsity. That's a big deal. I mean, that's to play 2 years of varsity for a lot of people was a big deal. So playing 4 years of varsity. What did you learn from tennis that you were able to apply as you went into college and then went on to your professional career and married life?
Um, it's an interesting sport because it's very sort of introspective. High school, you're still part of a team, but you're also competing individually. I played doubles, but still, you're sort of an individualized team. So, it teaches you a lot. It teaches you a lot about, even if you maybe lose, the whole team won, and that, that's okay. And that's, as a high school kid, that can sometimes be hard to deal with. But also too about just you can get in your head. I don't know if you play golf at all, but you can get in your head and you can get in your own way. And I think a lot of tennis taught me a lot of sort of techniques and methods to sort of get out of my own head and sort of calm down and sort of see the bigger picture, which I try to use in my profession a lot as well. So.
You still play?
Yeah, I do. I actually played with Mark Buno a lot recently. He doesn't live too far, so I played with him. Over the years, I played with different groups, but yeah, I still try to play. I try to play and keep active at it. It's a sport that's great because you can play it your whole life.
Yeah, it is something. I mean, I've played very, single digit times, but it is something I would like to start playing.
Sure.
Also, competitive aspect and just the athletic aspect.
Yeah.
So good stuff, man. So after you finished at Hillsborough,
Yeah.
you wound up going to college. What was your initial major?
Yeah. I went to after Hillsborough, graduated Hillsborough. I went to Muhlenberg College, and I majored in history. I think largely because I was a little bit interested in it, but also I really didn't have a real sense of what I wanted to do. It's hard to figure that out when you're a teenager, early 20s. But yeah, that's I went there, and then from there I took a year off after college because I still didn't know what I wanted to do, and ended up going to law school at Roger Williams up in Rhode Island.
in Rhode Island. So with the law school, you're talk about the firm a little bit, and then we'll talk about more about it in
Sure.
depth. But so your dad has a law firm or had a law firm at the time,
Yeah.
and what made you decide? Oh, you know what? I don't know what I want to do. I think I'm going to go back to law school.
It's a good question. I don't think I had a sense of like a desire, like a strong desire to be a lawyer, but I had a strong desire to do something that would allow me to be in business for myself. And I saw law as a real opportunity for that, especially having the privilege of being able to go into business with my father, who at the time his firm was Stephen R. Lane PC. So I saw that as a real opportunity to do that. But then I did grow to really enjoy what I do, and I hope to help. What I do a lot of divorce and matrimonial and tough stuff like that. It's never really happy, but there are times I feel like I can truly help people.
And how long was that process as far as going back to law school, getting getting your license? Or
Sure.
how long did that take you?
It takes about 3 years. I went to law school. I started in '04 and I graduated in '07. And then I took the bar and became licensed in '08.
What's the bar like? I always hear lawyers talking about that. Like, what's that test like? Is it the same for every niche of law?
Yeah, so it's not like areas, it's state specific. So, but it's not like everybody in New Jersey is going to take the same bar exam, or everybody in Connecticut is going to take the same bar exam. So it's a lot. It's pretty much reiterating all of law school back to you, and you have to. It's 2 days. It's one full day of multiple choice and one full day of essays, and it's really it's a grueling process to study for, and it's a grueling process to take. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Pass fail or yet? How
Yeah,
does
it's pass fail. You either pass or you fail.
it?
Yeah, it's when you're studying, they're telling you you're shooting for the D. Don't really try to go for the great answer, especially on the essays, because you can really get lost in those. That's a huge test of your time management, because one essay you can go on forever. You just have to know to stop at some point. So it's tough.
Cool, man. Cool. So you
I'm
can't.
happy it's behind me.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and that's something. So once you pass that, you never have to do it again.
No, unless you want to go practice in another state, then you might have to take their bar exam.
Okay. You have to possibly take their bar exam. Cool, man. So that was '07. You came out. And
Yeah.
at what point did you meet your wife? Was that when you were in school? When it was
Yeah, my wife and I met in law school, which is kind of an interesting story because I'm from New Jersey, she's from Illinois, and we met at a law school in Rhode Island, and it was just a fortuitous experience. We became really good friends our first year of law school because most of the people lived in Bristol, Rhode Island, where the school was, but we for some reason both lived in Providence. So we ended up just doing a lot of stuff together. Nothing was going on, but we did a lot of date-like things. We'd go out to dinner, we'd see movies, we'd, just hang out and stuff like that. And then, you know, relationship just kind of grew. And then we started dating the end of our first year. And by the end of our second year, we were engaged and got married in August of '07.
'07. So you just had 13 years.
13 years, yeah.
Very cool, man. So she's a lawyer.
Yeah, she's a lawyer. Also, my practice is in Somerville. Her office is in Somerville as well. She works for the state of New Jersey. So
For the state. So how, like, what exactly does she do? Like her office is it prosecuting people? Is it?
no, it's a branch of the public defender's office. She's in what's called the Office of the Law Guardian, and she represents the interests of children in DCP&P cases. DCP&P used to be DIFUS. So you typically have a private attorney or a public defender representing the parents, and then you have the Attorney General's office who represents DCP&P. But then you have this child who has interests and has rights, and she represents those of those kids who are abused or neglected.
Hey, that's
It's something.
yeah, that's interesting, man. That's very noble. Is
Yeah.
she back to the office yet, or is she?
Not yet. Maternity. She's still on maternity leave. She goes back in October. And I think there's some sort of crazy schedule right now where she has to, I think she's going to end up going back to the office like 1 day a week or something like that until the state really reopens.
All right. And talk about what you guys do, right? At Lane and Lane. So you're doing,
Yeah. Yeah. So we do a lot of divorces, issues revolving divorces. Say after you're divorced and someone's not doing what they're supposed to do or paying child support or paying alimony, we can file to enforce that. Or on the flip side, say you have that obligation and you've lost your job or something, or we can seek to modify your obligations as well. So it's really there's so many different things. Another big part of our practice too are representing people who are accused of or the victims of domestic violence. And so we represent a lot of people in that as well. Other things too, if you want to, if you are a parent of children and you want to leave the state, it's not as simple as just up and leaving. You really have to, there's a legal process to that. So we really do that. And it's really all we do. It's not a general practice firm. We're not fitting it in between real estate closings and personal injury matters. This is all we do. We're a boutique family law firm that only handles this. We also don't pawn work off on, like if you come and retain us, we're the attorneys you get. It's not like you get sold on a senior partner and then you're working with an associate who's got 5 minutes of experience. So that's really what we do. It can be tough, but we all, that's what we do.
and so it's you, your dad, your brother, anybody else I'm missing in there?
No, that's it. That's it. And our two staff people, Austin and Victoria.
Okay. Is your brother, Eric, is he younger than you or older than
He's younger than me. He's 3.5 years younger than me. Also a proud son of Hillsborough High School. So
you? Yeah. So he probably graduated what, like 03? Oh, something like
oh
that.
02, I think he graduated high school. Yeah.
My two youngest brothers, I believe, as far as.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's that dynamic like though, going in and working with your dad and your brother?
It's interesting, working with family, has its challenges, but we've all been doing it a while, and it's been good. It's been good. Certainly was good to have that level of familiarity where we all bring different things to the table. My brother also has a master's in accounting, so in some of the cases that we have. That are more complex, have more complex business issues and stuff like that, or, sort of tax issues that don't make sense. He's a great resource to have for that. That's a very uncommon thing in a law office. My father also has an MBA, so has a bit more of a understanding of that as well. So there's that. I think the important thing when you work with family is to be able to you got to be able to turn it off when you leave the office, because business is stressful no matter what kind of business you're in. Owning a gym is stressful. Having a law practice is stressful. And when you work with family, you got to be able to just be able to turn it off. And it's good because he's got 4 kids too. And so for those kids to have a good relationship, it's important for us to be able to keep the office separate from our, personal life.
Sure. Now, let's say there's a big decision in the business that has to be made. Does that come up every day where you guys sit down and talk about it? Is it equal input?
Yeah, we're all equal, so the input is equal, and then we usually, come to a conclusion on any kind of issues that come up.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
The psyche. Let's say, God forbid, me and Devin were going to get divorced.
Yeah.
We attain you guys. Are we both using your or like will she have her own?
No. Well, that's something else. I mean, an interesting thing we also offer, if you were to litigate your divorce, you'd each need your own attorneys. But we also are mediators as well, which is also a really good process. And I recommend that to everybody, which mediation is a great tool to help resolve issues without, it's a mediator's job is not to just hear what people argue about and say, this is my determination. It's sort of a facilitator of two people, being able to reach their own conclusion. And my experience is that those agreements typically aren't the ones that are back in court because they're the product of two people working together. But yeah, I mean, to go back and answer your question, typically each person has one attorney cannot represent two people who have interests that are at odds with one another.
So let's say you're doing a mediation route. Is
Yes.
either counsel involved, or is that the people say, okay, I just want to do mediation?
It could be. I mean, people do attend mediation with attorneys, or they attend it without attorneys. It really depends on the dynamic of the people. If I've had mediations where people have come in themselves, and I've seen a complete imbalance of power where you have one sort of alpha personality and then the other person is just agreeing to whatever just to get out of the room. And a lot of times I'll come up with a reason to sort of say we need to take a break. And then when I sort of break out and talk to each person individually, I usually say, it might make sense for you to talk to an attorney because it doesn't seem like you're understanding your legal rights. And I can't, as a mediator, I can't really give you any legal advice in that area. So it depends, it really depends. Either way I found works. A lot of time though, if people come in themselves, I'll come up with sort of a draft agreement and then they'll take it to attorneys to review.
So you can't give any, that's it, because I don't know any of this stuff. So this is it.
Yeah.
You can't get, if you're the mediator, they're telling you that you can't give advice.
Yeah, I can't really advise somebody as if I was their attorney. I can't say do this, don't do this. There's some gray areas always, like there always is. I can tell people what the law says about something. That's because that's a little different. But it's I'm not anybody's attorney in a mediation setting, so I can't really act in that facility in that capacity.
Okay, cool, man. So look, this too, I always wonder with lawyers, right? So you have such a broad, or I shouldn't say broad, but vast knowledge base. How
Sure.
do you find yourself having to go look something up when you're working with somebody? Like, I should probably brush up on that, or is it just you got everything pretty?
You know what? I mean, with what I do, the law doesn't change that often. So it's like very easy for me to be able to just say these like handful of cases. But there are some issues that come up from time to time. And, I think it just makes sense to be upfront, especially with your clients, and just tell them, what, let me just take a look at the law. Let me research this a bit and get back to you. Because, I usually just tell people I'd rather give you honest advice than bad advice. And tell you what I think just because I want to, I don't want you to think that I need to look something up. But yeah, typically speaking, I'll just kind of tell somebody I need to look it up and get back to them. And I try to do that. And then I usually provide them with whatever the case is that I found and tell them, highlight the sections that I think are important to their case.
Cool, man. Now, is that draining dealing with people like let's say a divorce setting where it's such a huge emotional thing? Typically, I would guess for that couple, does that wear on you at all?
It can. I mean, I've been doing this now, for about 12 years. In the beginning, it definitely was. It definitely was hard to separate that, and there's so many stresses about it too, and you just kind of have to learn to sort of separate yourself from it, almost like building a callus. It's like riding a bike. When you get a new like road bike or something and you ride it the first couple times and it hurts, you can't ride it. It's sort of similar to that. You got to be able to turn it off, or else you'll go crazy. It's not easy. It's easier said than done for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. I can imagine that being difficult. So let me ask you some other questions
Sure.
related, and then we'll circle back to letting people know how they can get in touch with you and your firm. When I ask you about your favorite book, what comes to mind?
That's a good question. It's sort of, I went through a period where I was reading a weird combination of science fiction books and biographies. I thought one of my favorite books that I read was a biography about Sandy Koufax called A Lefty's Legacy. And it was just so wonderfully written because, he's somebody you always hear about. And one of the really interesting parts of that book was that interspersed throughout the book was were 9 chapters, and each chapter was dedicated to like each inning he pitched of the perfect game that he had. And, it was with the backdrop too of what, riots in Los Angeles and stuff like that. So that was this really interesting book. I thought that was excellent.
So I have to check that out. I've never read that. Lefty's Legacy. Now so you're into sci-fi. Let me ask you this, because I just got to read it. I didn't read it yet. Got it for my birthday. But Dune, did you read that?
I started reading Dune. I didn't finish it, but I do want to get back into it. I was enjoying it, and then something, I don't know, I got busy with something else, but it's definitely something I want to get into. I thought Ender's Game was an excellent book too. Yeah.
Cool, man. Now, what other hobbies do you have when you're not, let's say, working, when you're not busy with the baby?
Sure.
What else gets you going? Is there anything else?
Oh, I mean, ever since, getting back involved with you, trying to work out regularly and exercise regularly has been a big part of my free time. I started collecting some watches, and that's been sort of an interesting sort of learning about horology and stuff like that's kind of fascinating.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really a very interesting.
Talk about that. Like, what got you into that? I don't even know what horology is.
Horology is just like the science of watchmaking. And so I kind of got into it because I had a smartwatch, and I see everybody has smartwatches, and like these things all look the same, and there's no art to them, and there's no style to them. And so I just was like, even if it's a bit of an out, you don't really need a watch to tell you the time. You don't need a watch to tell you the day, but there's something to it. There's something to, having that type of thing. The watch I'm wearing now is the watch my parents actually got me for my birthday. I'll show you. It's a Tissot Swissmatic, which I thought was really kind of nice and minimalistic. And one of the cool things was the back of it, how you can sort of see the movement and stuff, which is kind of neat.
Hold it a little higher.
So you can sort of see like the back and how the watch moves and stuff. So I don't know. I thought it was cool. I thought, the history of it was kind of interesting. So yeah, I'm not buying Rolexes or anything like that. But, I thought it was kind of a neat.
It is cool, man.
But yeah, we do a lot of hiking and stuff too. It's a big thing, getting outside and unplugging for a bit. Like for our 10th anniversary, my wife and I, we went to Banff National Park out in Western Canada, and it was just absolutely unbelievable experience.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You took the kids, or you left the kids home?
The kids were home. That was just the 2 of us. That was like 3 years ago. So, I mean, they would have been young for that trip.
So, would you spend a week out there?
Yeah, we spent a week out there. We did take them up to Acadia in Maine, which was a great trip too.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
With the national forest out in Canada, is that? Sorry about that. Broke up. Can you hear me, Dan?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think you froze.
Was
again.
that the Canadian Rockies?
I'm sorry? It's the Canadian Rockies, yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. I would definitely on my bucket list. Definitely on my bucket list.
Yeah, it's definitely worth going to. Check out Lake Louise. The water is just this almost impossible blue color. It's just unreal. I think you're frozen.
If you got me. 1 second. I'm sorry. Okay. How about now, Dan?
Yeah, I think a bit better. Though you're frozen still again, it looks like.
How about now, Dan?
Yeah, it's good. Although, yeah, it looks like it froze again. It's going in and out a bit.
Yeah.
Hmm.
One sec. How about now?
I can hear you, but yeah, your face
Dan?
is frozen.
That better?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I can see you moving. Yeah, I don't know.
Let's see if we can. I'll have to edit that part out. Tell me when it's back to normal, Dan, and I got a few more questions on that.
All right, I will. Like I said, I can hear you from time to time, and then it sort of cuts out.
Hold on one sec. Am I still frozen, Dan?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's
Tell me when it's normal. I stopped it on Facebook. I'm still recording because I can edit that out, obviously.
okay.
I think my computer was overheating.
It could
Sorry.
be. I know sometimes my phone does that.
Yeah, I felt it, and I didn't realize how hot it was getting. How about
Oh,
this?
yeah, I
Another.
can hear you now. Yeah,
It seems like it's speeding back up.
that's good.
How about the question? What 5 years from now, where do you see like what's going on in your life? Where do you see yourself?
Well, it's interesting. Uh, it's hard to think about. I hope that my kids are growing up, that our firm is still successful, and maybe we grow. We do have two locations now. We have a location in Somerville and Morris Plains. If those continue to grow, that would be great. And then if the practice in the firm continues to grow, that's what I like to do. And that my kids are still healthy. My kids are good. We have one sort of knocking on the door of college, so hopefully I'll have prepared a little bit for that.
Yeah, that's scary, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In a good way. So how do you split your time between the both offices, both locations?
I'm most of the time in Somerville. My brother, who lives closer to the other office in Morris Plains, is there a little bit more often. Um, yeah. But I have met clients up there. It's usually for me, it's by appointment only.
Got it. Got it. What about we're obviously born right around the same time. When you think about the '80s? What's your favorite like nostalgic? Whether it's like a show or like the '80s, what's your favorite thing from that?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think because I was watching this with my kids, I gotta say Transformers.
Transformers.
I remember my mom telling me that I had like a birthday party and every single kid got me some kind of Transformers. And there was like not like a plan to do that. It's just what was in. And I think she still has them. I think I still have like an old Optimus Prime somewhere or
That's great.
something. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. All right. So how do people get in touch with you? I'll put this in the show notes, but if people are seeking counsel in your field, what's the best way to put them in touch with you?
You can either call my office. Our number is 908-253-9333. Or you can shoot me an email at dlane@njlanelaw.com. Either
Okay.
one of those are fine. You can check out our website at www.njlanelaw.com, or check us out on Facebook too. Either of those should work fine.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate it, Dan. Sorry about that
Yeah, no problem.
up there, but like I said, I'll edit that out, and hopefully we can do this again.
For sure.
Cycling back through my guests, just touching base and diving deeper into some mindset stuff. So thanks again, Dan, for joining me. And
Thank you for having me.
yeah, man, hopefully, people are able to connect with you on a deeper level. And I will see you soon. Okay, buddy?
All right. Thanks a lot, Kyle. Always a pleasure seeing you.
Yeah, man, likewise.
All right. Take it easy.